What is going on, guys? Gamers Goon here today with your draft recap of round one. Round one was fun, man. It was fun. Draft got started at 3 as we all expected it to. First two, quick and simple. Jaguars take the QB that we already knew. It was just a crowning moment for Trevor Lawrence. Great pick from the Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence can be very successful there with DJ Chark, Jerome Robinson, and who else they got in the first round. We'll go over that in a little bit. But Trevor Lawrence, more so a crowning of his rightful throne than anything else, because we all knew Trevor Lawrence was more than likely going to be the first guy hearing his name called off the board. Jaguars did a solid job. I give him an A+ for that pick. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the future there down in Jacksonville. Then we get into the New York Jets, Jets, Jets. There we go, BYU QB, as we all thought he would be, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, I think, has the potential to be one of the best players in this draft. I think, given the right situation, if the Jets build it up properly, could be something good in New York. It might even be the best QB in New York as it is next year. He might be able to be better than Danny Dimes next year. So watch out for Zach Wilson next year. I think he'd be very solid. I don't know if he's going to start next year, but Zach Wilson, a very solid pickup there for the Jets. Jets, Jets. There you go. I give you guys an A+ for that pick. Then we get into the 49ers. 49ers pulling off the first big shock. Obviously, they got this pick from Miami, who got this pick from Houston. And believe it or not, they didn't go Mac Jones like everybody thought they would. They went Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State, the second highest North Dakota State draftee since Carson Wentz. I mean, Trey Lance, I think, has a big ceiling. I really do. I love the fact that he's in San Francisco. They have the weapons. They have Brandon Ayuk. They're going to be solid. They have a decent enough offense where they can be competitive. The only question I have is whether or not Jimmy G is going to be the one starting week 1 or if it's going to be Trey Lance. Obviously, taking somebody at 3, you would expect that they probably got some plans for you to start, but that's not necessarily how the NFL works. They do have people sit behind and learn from the guys in front of them, and that's not necessarily the best way to learn, in my opinion. I know there's some good examples of it, like the Tom Brady situation where he had to wait his time, and when his time came, he made the best out of it. But to me, one game, and you're going to learn more in one game than you're going to learn 10 off the field, on the sideline, watching Jimmy G, watching whomever. I would love to see Trey Lance start. I think this guy has a big ceiling. I also think he is probably the highest boom or bust potential out of every QB in this draft, in my opinion. But I think Trey Lance is going to be a good, very good NFL player, especially on the 49ers. I don't see why he'd fail there. And then number 4, we get a tight end. Oh, my bad. Trey Lance, I give it an A. I don't think it's an A+ pick. I don't think you could really get an A+ pick there because I don't think you were as desperate at QB as they thought they were. But a very solid option for the future there, so I give him an A. 4th, we have the first tight end off the board and the best tight end we've seen in a long time. A very dominant guy out of Florida, and that is Kyle Pitts to the Atlanta Falcons. We thought maybe the Falcons could move around a little bit because, hey, there's a lot of teams that want one of these QBs, especially now Mac Jones maybe Justin Fields. A team might have traded up if Trey Lance was on the board. Who knows? But the Falcons, they took the best player on their board. I think probably the best non-QB in the entire draft. And that is Kyle Pitts. You can run this guy almost anywhere on the field. I said it with him and Brevin Jordan. Those are 2 tight ends that they don't necessarily need to just play tight end. You can have them run in the slot if you need them to. You can have them run all over the field at any position, and you'll have a pretty successful season. I think he is a very similar type of player to Travis Kelce. I think you could plug Kyle Pitts in almost anywhere. I'll give the Falcons an A for it. I hate saying A+. I'm not going to do it A+, simply because I hate the fact that tight end is the 4th pick in this draft. To me, tight ends do not have that type of value. But at the end of the day, the player has all the talent in the world. The only thing about him that is a little bit worrisome to me in the top 4 is that he's a tight end, which I don't even think he's really a tight end. I think you can put him as, you could have him wherever, man. You can have him as a utility player for all I care. Kyle Pitts is going to be good. You run him at receiver. You can run him at tight end. You can run him as a blocker. It doesn't matter. Kyle Pitts is going to give you what you need. Then the first I think this is the first mistake of the draft, and that is the Bengals. Now, I understand why they did this. They drafted Jamar Chase, receiver out of LSU, to go pair along with his former quarterback, Joe Burrow. I understand that you need another weapon to add with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, and now you're going to have Jamar Chase, who was already has that connection with Joe Burrow. But, man, did we not learn our lesson? Did we not learn our lesson when Joe Burrow, the last image we saw of Joe Burrow was him on the field, injured? You can't have that happen again. You had Penei Sewell in your hands. You looked at him and you slapped him away and said, no, we don't want him. We don't want an elite offensive lineman. Get out of here. We don't need him. So they went receiver. They took Jamar Chase. It was becoming a possibility towards the end of this, and towards the end of these mock drafts and everything, that Jamar Chase was going to end up being there. I don't think it was the right move. I'm not saying it's a bad move, Jamar Chase. He actually came out very confidently in his press conference afterwards and said that he wants to hold all the Bengals records that they ever had. He doesn't know how he's going to do it, but he wants to do it. You got the guy with the work ethic. That's one thing. I'm going to have to give him a B still. I think Jamar Chase is a very good player. I don't think that it was the right move for that team because this is a deep receiver draft. I mean, it's a deep offensive lineman draft, but to me, there's a big difference between getting a first-round Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater to getting a second-round Trey Smith. I mean, to me, there's a big difference between the caliber. You can get an elite offensive lineman early. I mean, yes, Jamar Chase is a elite receiver, but I think you could get a Pro Bowl type of receiver there in that second round, third round. And I don't necessarily know if you can get a Pro Bowl type of offensive lineman there. You could get a quality starter, but I don't know if you could get a guy that could be a little bit above average. Jalen Waddle to the Dolphins at 6. Shout out to my guy, Joseph Conlon. I know he was happy with this pick. He said he wanted Penei, Jalen Waddle, or Devontae Smith. They gave him Jalen Waddle. Thank God Jalen Waddle is on the Dolphins, man. I'm absolutely stoked for it. Jalen Waddle is a player that, as you guys know, I am very excited about. This guy, I think, is going to be the best receiver in the entire class when it's all said and done. I love Jalen Waddle's game. I can't wait to see him in the league. I'm just so happy that he is not on a team that is boring to watch. I would hate to see him play on, like, the Giants. I would hate to see him play on the Eagles. Basically, any of that NFC East, I don't want to see him on. But, hey, Dolphins, they were a fun team to watch last year. They were a very successful team. Hopefully, Jalen Waddle's that missing piece for them. Jalen Waddle going to the Dolphins. I think I'm still going to have to give you guys like an A- because Penei Sewell was on the board. But you made it a little bit easier for me to be happy with you guys because you took Jalen Waddle. And that means I don't have to watch Daniel Jones throw the ball to Jalen Waddle. I can actually watch Tua throw the ball to him. I can actually watch a winning team with Jalen Waddle. So that's going to be very exciting for me at least. Number 7 is the Detroit Lions. I think the Detroit Lions did absolutely amazing with their pick. I hate that I have to say it. I got to give them an A+. They took best player available. I didn't think they would because I thought maybe they would go receiver since they did lose Kenny Golladay, but they didn't really jump on the Devontae Smith. I think if Jalen Waddle was here, they would have done it, but they didn't jump on Devontae Smith like I thought they might have. And that was Penei Sewell. I mean, they didn't get tempted by Devontae Smith being the only receiver left at that point. Props to them for that. They got an offensive lineman to help Jared Goff maintain some time there in the pocket. I hate that I have to play against him twice a year, but Penei Sewell, a brilliant pick from the Lions. Unfortunately for Penei, he is no longer gonna be on my high side or my what's it called, my deep fandom side or whatever. I'm not gonna be a diehard for him, because unfortunately you're against an NFC North rival. I'm sorry, Penei. But hey, once your 4 years are up, come to Chicago. We can wipe the slate clean, buddy. Eighth, we had the first defensive back getting taken off the board, and I thought, hey, the first one should be Patrick Surtain. He's by far the best corner in the draft, if you ask me. And it was J.C. Horn. Not that J.C. Horn is bad. I think he is the second corner in this draft. But a lot of people were throwing him really high up their boards late into the year, where Patrick Surtain, you knew going into this draft, he was the number one corner. And then somewhere along the lines, we had Caleb Farley potentially being the number one corner, and then J.C. Horn coming out of nowhere to be the number one corner. Why? We knew that Patrick Surtain was going to be up there with that upper echelon of corners. Why are we risking it? So the Panthers, they took J.C. Horn over Patrick Surtain. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not saying it was a bad pick. I think J.C. Horn's going to be a solid player, but I'm going to have to give him a B just because I think they had a chance at Patrick Surtain, who I think is the best corner in this year's draft. Sorry, Panthers fans. Sorry if you're watching me. I just think Patrick Surtain is probably the best corner in this draft, so we'll see. We'll see how the long run plays out. Hopefully J.C. Horn does well for the Panthers. Number 9, we have the Denver Broncos, and I was sweating bullets at this point because Mac Jones and Justin Fields are on the board at 9. I'm like, are the Broncos going to be the ones? Are they going to be the ones? I know they did just get a trade for Teddy Bridgewater, but are they going to be the ones? Thankfully, they weren't. They took the best player available, in my opinion, and that's Patrick Surtain. Best player available for them, and that's Patrick Surtain. I think he's the best corner in this year's draft. Pair him alongside Kyle Fuller. That's going to be very nasty for the Broncos. I'm going to have to give him an A+ for that one. I think they did an absolutely home run hit there. Very, very good pick from Denver Broncos, and shout out to my boy Vic Fangio. Philadelphia Eagles at 10. They made a trade with Dallas. They jumped the gun because they thought the Giants were picking next. And they had 12, so they wanted 10. They wanted to make sure they got their receiver, and their receiver is Devontae Smith, receiver out of Alabama, the Heisman winner. Now, Devontae Smith is a guy that I kind of think a lot of people had going to the Eagles at 12. But they felt a little need to jump up above the Giants. I understand it. And the Eagles ended up getting the Heisman winner, man. That is something to look forward to over there in Philadelphia. Hopefully they get things worked out. It'd be nice to see Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, and whomever get going there offensively. Hopefully bringing in Devontae Smith can help Jalen Reagor really come to his full potential. I mean, the Eagles, I'm not going to give you an A. I'm going to give you like a B+. Devontae Smith a little bit undersized. I'm sorry, but it's a B+. It's a B+ to me. And number 11, my Chicago Bears. I know I'm not wearing a Bears jersey because I just woke up and threw on the first jersey I saw, which would happen to be a Derrick Henry jersey. However, my Chicago Bears, man, we traded up to 11 with the Giants. We gave up a first-rounder next year, our first-rounder this year, a fifth this year, and a fourth next year. I thought we were going to have to give up a whole lot more. I thought we were going to have to give up some second and third round picks in between there. So I'm very excited that we get to keep those. And with all of that being said, the Chicago Bears traded up 9 spots to finally select the franchise quarterback. Now, I want to bring this up because I think this is true this time. Don't get me wrong, I love my boy Mitch, but last time, Mitch, when we drafted him, there was a lot of disgruntled Bears fans. This time, with Justin Fields trading up, the only thing I've seen is positivity. through every social media outlet, it has been positivity about the Bears getting a steal with Justin Fields. The Bears fan base seems to love him. I love Justin Fields. This was a home run move by Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. Absolutely brilliant move from the Bears. I'm very excited to say Justin Fields is our quarterback. Hopefully we can get him starting sometime this season. He probably won't be starting week 1. They did say that they're committed to Andy Dalton. I don't care if we're committed to Andy Dalton. We got to get this guy starting. Justin Fields, I think, has a lot of potential. I think he could very well be the third best QB in this draft. I've said it many times. Justin Fields, to me, is probably the third best quarterback in this draft. In the long run, he might even be higher. He might be second or first. To me, I don't understand why Trey Lance and Mac Jones were ever jumping him. Justin Fields is one hell of a quarterback in Chicago. At 11, they could have got their franchise QB last night. And I don't see why anybody would say that the Bears did not have an A+ night 1. If they could trade up 9 spots with only giving up one first rounder. We were throwing around the idea of giving them 3 or 4 years worth of first rounders to get Deshaun Watson, to get Russell Wilson. This guy could be something special. And all we had to give up was 1 first rounder and some 4th and 5th round, and a 4th and a 5th rounder. That's nothing to move up 9 spots and get a franchise QB. A+ draft from Chicago on night 1. Hopefully it works out. I think it will. This time it feels different. And I'm very excited to say Justin Fields is the QB over in Chicago now. Hopefully we get things going, and hopefully Justin Fields becomes the first 4,000-yard passer in Chicago. Hopefully Justin Fields becomes the first great Bears QB. I feel like something's brewing, man. I feel like Justin Fields in Chicago is going to be something special. Hopefully it is. A lot of people have already purchased the jersey. I haven't purchased mine yet, but I am going to be doing that later today. Unfortunately, my card is not working because I did have somebody get my banking information, so I had to request a new card. So I kind of can't with my money right now, but I'm gonna have to see if I can get a favor done for somebody and see if they'll be willing to get something done for me. 12th to the Dallas Cowboys. I think they take best player available here, and they did. This pick belonged to San Francisco, who traded to Miami, and that pick to move up to 3. Miami traded this to Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia traded this pick to Dallas. Dallas ended up taking this pick and going best player available, and they took Micah Parsons, linebacker, out of Penn State. At that point, I'm not even mad at them. I don't know with the back issues of Caleb Farley if it would have been wise when you have a chance at a generational linebacker. Micah Parsons, I think, is a stud. I think he is going to be a very good linebacker. The only problems I have with him is his off-field concerns. But on the field, he is a beast. This might be a little bit too soon for like a Caleb Farley. This is definitely a little bit too soon for some of those other corners like an Eric Stokes or a Greg Newsome. It's a little bit too early for those guys. Caleb Farley probably would have been the pick here if we didn't have concerns about his back surgeries and anything like that. But, hey, Cowboys, I think you guys need to focus secondary next rounds. But, hey, I'm not even going to get mad at you. I did get a little bit upset with them last year with taking CD because they were desperate in need of corners and stuff. But, hey, they did get a defensive player. They might not have got the positions I think they're desperate in, but, hey, it was best player available, and they didn't reach on one of these corners when they were on the clock. And I'm going to have to give them a solid B+. B+. It's not going to give them the A because they're the Cowboys. I'm not giving them an A. How about them Cowboys? No. You guys can sit with the B+. The Chargers at 13. I knew this was going to happen. I really did. They needed offensive line. It made sense with the way the board was going to plan out that Rashawn Slater was going to end up in San Diego. They needed an offensive line. They need some linebackers. I think linebacker might be what they go day 2. Chargers, I think they got the second best offensive lineman in this class. Hopefully Rashawn Slater is very good. From what I've heard from Chargers fans, they're pretty pleased with what they're seeing so far out of Rashawn Slater. In terms of seeing his tape and everything like that, they seem to be pretty pleased with the guy they just drafted, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. I'm going to give them an A-. I think Rashawn Slater is a very good player. Then we get into the Jets, trading up with Minnesota. They trade up to get a guy to block for Zach Wilson. I think that they might have made a little bit of an error here because they traded up to 14 to draft Elijah Vera Tucker, who I think might have been there at 23. And you want to know who fell all the way to 23? The guy I had going at 14, Christian Dorasal. To me, Christian Dorasal is the better player than Elijah Vera Tucker. I think Elijah Vera Tucker is a little bit more of a prospect than Dorasal. To me, Dorasal was going to be the third best offensive lineman behind Slater. But AVT, not a terrible player. I think they might have missed the opportunity there to get Dorasal, who I think is going to be very good. But the Jets, hey, they invested in their young quarterback. They targeted the best offensive lineman that they thought was there at the time. They traded above so they would have they'd be able to jump like the Alex Leatherwoods of the world. And hey, they got a guy to block for Zach Wilson. So shout out to the Jets. I'm gonna give them a B+. I think that there was a better option there, but they targeted the guy they thought was best. I think Darcel's the best on the board at that situation. And so I'm going to have to give him a B+, but not a bad pick there from the Jets. Patriots, my second team. Thank the Lord. I'm sorry. I hate that Mac Jones is on one of my teams still. I really do. But thank the Lord it's not on my primary team, Chicago. Oh, boy, that would have been a bad situation. But Mac Jones, he feels like the typical Patriots QB. You think of, let's think of what we think of the Patriots QBs, man. The successful one is Brady. So, yeah, you don't necessarily have all this jumping off the paper athleticism. You're just a smart QB. That's what Mac Jones is for you, man. So hopefully that works out for New England. I'm gonna have to give them an A. I'm gonna have to give them an A. I hate that it's Mac Jones, but hey, I'm gonna have to give them an A because they did get a first-round quality QB, and hey, they didn't even move up for him. They literally sat pat at 15, and it fell right into their laps. So they didn't get desperate. Shout out to them. I'll give them an A. Next, we have 16, and I had Aziz Ajulari going here the entire time, man, and they said, we'll get a linebacker. Don't worry, we'll get a linebacker, but we're getting the Tulsa one. They went out and got Zaven Collins, who I think this was a very good pick, actually. Yes, I did have Aziz going above Zaven, but I think Zaven Collins is a very good linebacker. I absolutely love this dude. I think he's going to be very good in the league. I don't necessarily think he's going to be a superstar, but I think he's going to be a very good player in the league. Cardinals, I think they hit a home run with this pick. I'm going to give them an A-. I think Zaven Collins is going to be very solid in the NFL. Then we get into the Las Vegas Raiders at 17. They go offensive line, and they draft Alex Leatherwood. We knew the potential between offensive line and defense was the only things here really for the Raiders. They decided offensive line was a little bit more of a need than like a Caleb Farley or a Jalen Phillips or a Gregory Rosso or Aziz Ajulari. You can't get mad at them. They did fix one of their issues. Hopefully they fixed the defense throughout the rest of the draft. I'm going to give them a solid B. I'm going to give them a B. They took Alex Leatherwood out of Alabama. 18, we have Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami. This guy isn't even leaving town. He's from Miami. He's playing in Miami. The Dolphins selected him at 18. Welcome back home. Jalen Phillips, you're out in a very good edge rusher. I think Jalen Phillips is going to be very solid in Miami. I'm a little bit concerned that they didn't go more offense here. I'm a little bit concerned that they didn't maybe go offensive lineman here. But Jalen Phillips is a very good player. I think it was a solid pick, and it helps out that Dolphins defense and makes them one step closer to actually making the playoffs with that good record that they had last year. 19th, I thought this guy might jump into the first round, and he absolutely did. I could see him going to many different places, and Jamin Davis, the linebacker out of Kentucky, jumps all the way up to 19 to the Washington football team. Shout out to Jamin Davis. I think this guy's going to be very solid. This guy I would have loved to have in Chicago, but unfortunately that's not the case. I think Davis is going to be a very solid player. To me, this is probably like a B+ pick for the football team. So shout out to Jamin Davis. 20th is what was our pick, and we traded that with the Giants. The Giants go out there and they actually draft a receiver. We thought they potentially were going receiver at 11. There was no receivers at 11, so they said, let's trade down a little bit. Let's go to 20. A lot of people were predicting this guy at 20 anyway, so let's go get Kadarius Toney, receiver out of Florida. A bold move. Kadarius Toney he can be a highlight reel, so we'll see what happens there with Kadarius Toney in New York. Hopefully Danny Dimes is able to get things going with him and Shepard. Hopefully things start going well for them. Colts. I know the Colts were happy with this pick. They got an edge rusher out of Michigan. I thought they were probably going to go receiver, but they didn't. They took Kwity Paye out of Michigan. I think Kwity Paye slid down a lot of boards. But I think this guy is a top 15 talent. I think this guy's very solid. I thought this guy might slide to the end of the first round. Kwity Paye, a very good player. Good pickup for the Colts. Best player available situation there for the Colts. I think that was a very solid pick. To me, I'm going to have to give them... Oh, my bad. I didn't do a Toney. I'll give Toney a B+. But for Kwity Paye, I'm going to have to give them an A-. It was a very good pick. 22, the Titans. The Titans identified, hey, we might need some help at corner, so let's go get ourselves potentially a top corner in this year's draft. Yes, he has back concerns, but at 22, that's not much of an issue. Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech is going to be joining the Tennessee Titans. Very interesting selection there for the Titans. I'm going to have to give them an A. 23 is the Minnesota Vikings. And they got exactly who I thought they would get if they were up at 14, and that is Christian Dorasal. So shout out to the Vikings. I'll have to give them an A+ because I think they did the right thing. I think they got the right player, and I think they got assets in the process of getting the right player. Shout out to the Vikings for doing that. 24 is the Steelers going Najee Harris. I did not expect the Steelers to go running back. I didn't. Najee Harris is a very good player. Do not get me wrong. But to me, it doesn't make sense for the Steelers to do that. So I'm going to have to give the Steelers a C because I didn't really identify running back as a need for the Steelers. I think Najee Harris is a very good player, but I don't know if that's necessarily a big concern in Pittsburgh. 25th is another questionable one. I think they probably would have gone Najee Harris, but they ended up going Travis Etienne. Is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they were probably planning on going Najee, but then they ended up going Travis Etienne just to stick with the running back situation. Another very weird pick. They have Robinson there, so why? I'm going to have to give that one a C too. A little bit questionable. The Browns got Greg Newsome II out of Northwestern. That means two first-round picks for Northwestern. Shout out to them. Shout out to Pat Fitzgerald. Future. Actually, the Bears are on my good side right now, so I ain't even going to say that. But Greg Newsome, very solid player out of Northwestern. He's going to be solid in the league. He's probably the best corner on the board at this point. He probably was. So the Browns, they identified a need, they got a need, and they brought in Greg Newsome. Shout out to the Browns. I'm going to have to give them a B for that pick. Baltimore Ravens, at 27, they took Rashad Bateman. Very interesting selection. I thought they'd probably go Kadarius Toney if he was on the board, but Kadarius Toney wasn't on the board, and Bateman is a guy that I had going earlier than Toney. Bateman is a good player. Minnesota, he made a good one out of Rashad Bateman. So the Ravens are getting a very good guy here out of 27 with Rashad Bateman. So I'm going to have to give that pick an A for him. I think Bateman's a really good fit there. Put him alongside Hollywood Brown, and things could happen out there. New Orleans Saints, we heard this guy might jump up boards, and he did. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know much about this guy. This is a guy that really, to me, has just been third round, fourth round projections. And he jumped all very high on people's boards, and that's Peyton Turner, defensive end out of Houston. Maybe they know something I don't with Peyton Turner, but I'm gonna have to give that. I'm gonna have to give that one the lowest grade so far, and that's a C minus. I'm gonna have to give it a C minus. I'm sorry, but I don't see why you do that when you still have some top guys up there like Aziz Ajulari. I don't see it. Green Bay took a guy I thought they'd get in the second round. I actually did predict them to get this guy in the second round. This cornerback out of Georgia. They said, you know what? Aaron Rodgers threatened to leave us today. We're not getting Aaron Rodgers anything. Who thought we were getting him in it? You thought we were going to get him a receiver? Think again. We're getting Eric Stokes, corner. We're going to fix that Kevin King situation, and we are going to go get a corner out of Georgia. Eric Stokes, very good player. I think he ended up in the second round, but he ended up at the later half of the first round. Shout out to Eric Stokes. I'm gonna have to give them a B minus. A B minus. I think it was a need. I don't think it was probably the wisest decision if you want to keep Aaron Rodgers around, but hey, who knows? Buffalo Bills at 30. Shout out to the next guy to help get my boy Mitch a AFC championship, and that is Gregory Rosso, another edge rusher out of Miami. The second one in the first round. Gregory Rosso is a guy that we thought could have been probably top 15 at one point, but he slid down a lot of boards, and we thought he might even fall out of the first round completely. Gregory Rosso ended up in the first round. At the end of it, he ended up going to the Buffalo Bills. He ended up fixing their little situation of their defensive line being a little bit older. They added some youth there. I don't know if he's going to start right away, but this might be a move for the future if you're the Bills. Gregory Rosso is going to be a very solid player, and he's hopefully going to give you a lot of sacks next year. Baltimore Ravens, they took another edge rusher. They took a edge rusher, not another, because they did go Bateman. And that is an edge rusher out of Penn State, Jason Owe. To me, once again, Aziz Ajulari is right there, man. He's right there. I don't like that they don't take the best player at the position. I'm sorry. Aziz is there. He's there. But Jason Owe, a very good player. I'm going to give them a B for it. I think there was a better option, but I think they did a very good job there at identifying a very solid player to add there. And then once again, 32, we heard this guy might jump in the first round. Joe Tryon, we thought could jump into the first round. He ended up actually jumping into the first round above guys like Aziz. So Joe Tryon going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Super Bowl champions. You can't give the Buccaneers a terrible grade. I'm going to have to give them like a B. Once again, this draft for the Buccaneers is literally just adding talent. They don't have literally any stake in this. They are going to be well off whether this is a great or terrible draft. So they're just adding players at this point. They're just adding players for their future. So that's all I got to say about the Buccaneers. But thank you guys for watching this video, and there's going to be more of these coming out. Unfortunately was not able to get a video or a live stream out because the internet here has been awful the last few days. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing a second, third round, but I will be recording my reactions to the picks again because we did do that with Justin Fields last night. So make sure you guys come back for all that. And after the draft is fully over, I'll be grading each team. So come back for that as well. Thank you guys for tuning into this video, and I'll see you next time.